Okay. Well, if you watched the Colorado game, you don't need me to give you a recap, so I'm not going to. And if you haven't watched the game, I don't know what you're doing. It was the most anticipated game starting game one of a season I can remember. Maybe there's something 20, 30 years ago I'm not remembering, but this was an amazing way to start the season. It was great for college football. Colorado winning that game was exactly what college football needed in 2023. Shake things up. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Now, I've never rooted for Colorado. Even when Colorado would play a team that if they beat would help Nebraska somehow, I never rooted for Colorado. I never, in those years where it would help Nebraska's ranking or there'd be a win-loss thing that would help Nebraska, no. Never have I rooted for Colorado. But I'll tell you, I rooted for Colorado this entire game. And Shedeur Sanders, he threw for 510 yards, 4 touchdowns. It could have been 600 yards. If you've watched the game, you saw there were dudes on his team that dropped deep passes that were in their hands 3 different times that could have put him over 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. The game really, I know the score was close. It really didn't feel that close when you watched it because you just felt like every single drive Colorado was going to make something happen, and every single drive that TCU had, they were just going to try not to mess up. They were going to try not to make a mistake. So I thought it was a great game for college football. Shedeur Sanders is definitely, if not in the running for the #1 candidate for Heisman at this point. That was unbelievable. Deion Sanders, his entire staff, I mean, it was just an amazing victory for Colorado. Everything about it was wonderful. I thought it was great. Now, I'm not getting ready to break out the Buffalo gear just yet or ever, so don't worry about that, Husker fan. But if you're a Nebraska fan, you have to know that when Deion said we're coming, he was serious about that, and Nebraska better get ready for what's coming for them next week. Now, on that note, listen, Aflac trivia question in the middle of the game, or actually the first half Aflac trivia question was a little over the top. It was, when was the last time a team went from unranked to winning a national championship? The answer was Georgia Tech back in 1990. And that's a little much. The Colorado for national championship talk, which is going to begin with some people right now, I think is insane. There's no chance that Colorado replicates what they just did game after game after game. Now they've already matched their win and loss total from last year, so clearly they're going to win some games. But national championship and all that, no. And if you're a Nebraska fan and you're wondering how Nebraska will fare against Colorado, keep in mind that TCU not only allowed many times with blown coverages and all sorts of stuff, and number 21 for TCU needs to go to the film room. Or someone needs to talk to that kid, because number 21 was just run over all day long by those wide receivers. But not only did TCU allow a lot of that, Colorado's defense also allowed TCU to do exactly the same thing to them, back and forth all game long. So if you assume, which I'm going to for this video, that Nebraska's got a better defense than TCU, and if you assume that what Colorado saw was a more traditional drop back passer and a team in TCU which never slowed the game down, which Nebraska, I promise you, is going to do next week. We're going to see a different Colorado game next week against a much better defense, I think an elite defense that Nebraska's got, which is not what TCU has, and against a completely different, radically 180-degree different offense. It's not time to crown Colorado. It's time to respect Colorado, though. It's time to admit that when Deion Sanders says, we're coming, he wasn't joking. And all of college football got to see today, I think, one of the most amazing starts to a career as a college coach, or at least at this level, and a quarterback. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like that as a debut. Colorado deserves all the respect and all the admiration for what they just did to TCU. But Nebraska's a different team and a completely different scheme on both sides of the ball. and I'm not ready to concede this to Colorado just yet. I'm still picking Nebraska to win next week. We'll talk more about that as the week progresses. If you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Hit the notification bell, the binger, the bonger, the buzzer, whatever you gotta do to make it happen so that when I record a video, you get the upload, you get notified. Share it, like it, comment, up, down, whatever you want. And peace out. I'll see you next video, and go Big Red.